Satnam, beautiful friends, a great event is upon us right now. A collapsing of the old world and the beginning of a new world begins right now, beautiful friends, and I'm going to tell you all about it today. It is spring break in many places here in the United States, and Spirit gave me a warning to spring breakers in both Florida and Mexico both. A warning from scientists at the Alaska Volcano Observatory who say it is very possible that we will see a large eruption of the Tanaga Volcano as earthquake activity begins to heighten in that area around that volcano. We're going to tap in and see what Spirit has to say about this volcano and other events today. The Biden family finally being investigated. Trump and Boris Johnson both about to face consequences to their leadership. Who else is going to be under fire and under investigation? Perhaps Nancy? We know which Nancy that is. What will the outcomes of this all be? Is an attack on America's infrastructure inevitable right now? Why were two men from Russia just arrested in New York City? Is the United States heading towards a civil war? I doubt it, but we're going to talk about that today as well. What is polycrisis? Have you ever heard that term before, polycrisis? And why are we about to hear a whole lot more about that term in the near future? Spirit warns that several attacks of sorts are coming. What exactly would they be? What exactly does Spirit mean by this? Spirit also wants to send a warning out to our friends in Poland, Belgium, and Germany both. Bill Gates, fake meat, and cancer? We're going to talk about that and a lot more today on this episode number 58 of Tuesday's Tittel Tea Time Predictions Update. And I apologize that I have to upload this video today, so I am not live. This is a recording because our weather is severe here in Arizona. Severe downpours, and that will totally affect my satellite connection. So I thought it'd be better to upload it so there's no problems, knock on wood, with any of the video or audio. So welcome to my channel, back to my channel. If you're new here, I welcome you with infinite love and gratitude. I'd like to take a moment to thank all my supporters because this would not be possible without each and every one of you. I thank you for the members of my Awaken Your Spirit community on Subscribestar, and everybody else that sends through their love and support through here, through the mail, and all other forms. Down below, you'll find all the links to all my social media, including the Awaken Your Spirit community, and most importantly, the newsletter link from the latest newsletter with upcoming classes, workshops, special discounts, and always a weekly, bi-weekly message. Open up that newsletter, top left, I believe it is, click on that, and you will be able to sign up for that newsletter. So let us move forward. Thank you again for being here. A great event is upon us at this exact moment in time and space. My dear friends, it is here. Yesterday we celebrated the vernal equinox, which is the astrological new year. And today I can wish you both a happy spring and a happy new moon, of course. Happy autumn in the south, a happy spring in the north, and again, a happy new moon to all of you. A very powerful new moon it is. This new moon resonates with Pluto, a planet representing both destruction followed by rebirth. In a few days, Pluto is going to make its first major transit in 16 years. Therefore, it is not our typical new moon of new beginnings, but rather this is a new moon marking off great new beginnings. So it's a little bit better than just new, it's great new beginnings, while signaling for all of us the changing of our times. And our times are changing ever so quickly. The new moon is a vacuum where both endings and beginnings kind of mix together and come together. Once we cast out our intentions, the moon absorbs those intentions and of course our thoughts and begins to shine a new light upon them, getting brighter and brighter each day. Today's new moon is a vacuum in which we can cast a year's worth of our intentions and wishes out into the universe and make them even more powerful in manifesting and making those things happen in our lives. This is also a time marking the collapse of our old world and the beginning of our new world. And we must all stick together, call back our power, and ensure that our new world is not a new world order, as the elite evildoers are attempting to launch, as you know. Yesterday, the energy was really heavy. I don't know if you noticed that or not, which is a bit odd for an equinox, to say the least. So if you are likely feeling no motivation yesterday, feeling a bit more tired than usual, or just feeling overall blah, well, that was that equinox energy yesterday for sure. I gotta put my computer on do not disturb. There we go. So yeah, if you were feeling any of that yesterday, that was all related to the equinox, of course. And your dreams are also once again being heightened as well. And all these divine calibrations of energies are all here to actually give us a recalibration of our energy, which we had not that long ago, but Spirit shows me that we're getting a new recalibration of our energies. And many of us, if not all of us, are receiving what is referred to as spiritual downloads, as many people refer to them as. You may now also be beginning to experience intuition on a whole new level, accompanied by visions, perhaps visions of future events, and much deeper connection to our divine. It is deepening that connection for us, these energies. This is a wonderful thing, as it is very, very well needed to help assist us in fighting the darkness. Remember, Spirit told us a while back that a greater awakening is coming. And today's new moon marks off the beginning of a year filled with events. Some not so positive, but also some that are going to be very, very positive as well. So all this, as we inch slowly towards the next Mercury retrograde and energy shift in late April, early May. That's going to be a doozy, friends. That's going to be a doozy. And that will be the cycle that Spirit says you're not going to forget that cycle. Again, for both positive and for negative reasons. There is always a balance of both positive and negative. It is the yin-yang effect on the universe. Lastly, I say to you, my friends, get ready. Get ready, get set, go. Get ready, because we are about to experience things getting real. Like very, very real, very, very serious. Yes, more serious than they are right now altogether, believe it or not. And we have the power. Remember this. This is really important, that we all have the power to shift the plans of the deep, dark cabal through a combination of prayer, meditation, and holding things in positive light, holding outcomes in a positive light. We do have the power. Our future is ours. We own our future through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. But again, we also must come together. We must put our differences aside. It's of the utmost importance that we come together, put our differences aside, so that, we can all focus on one very important factor that we all have in common. And that factor that we all have in common is that those same evildoers that want to take down one of us, or want to take down me, they also want to take down you as well. They're not discriminating against anybody. They want to take you all down, except for those in their little billionaire category. Spirit did assure me, though, as I've said before, that light is going to prevail and the earth will shift into a new dimension, a new earth, and a new golden age, while those who choose the mark of the beast will be left behind upon the old earth, and they will get to endure the apocalyptic events that they're trying to bring upon themselves. So remember also, being aware can help you to prepare. That's really an important one as well. Oh my, I'm out of tea. That is a tragedy. So again, I welcome you to my channel and back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spearman JT, and I have a warning from spirits for spring breakers. In both Florida and Mexico, Cancun, Mexico is what popped out at me the most. We know about the recent kidnapping and all that happened, and those two people that were tragically, murdered by the drug lords over there. And that's what Spirit showed me for Mexico, Cancun, and that area, that people need to be extra aware of keeping away from the cartel. Not that you're going to know the difference, but I feel that, and I said this in a past show not that long ago, that there will be future kidnappings. And the cartel want to try to make examples using Americans. So be careful out there on spring break, and really even outside of spring break, but especially now. And even more so, our friends in Florida. Because it felt to me like Florida could end up having some really bad events happen from too drunk people and too many of those too drunk people. Especially Miami, South Beach, that whole area. And then also Spirit was showing me another trampling type event, like people being trampled. And I don't know, it seemed like this was outside. So I don't know if it's an outside. I didn't see a stage. I didn't see anything but a vision of people being trampled. And I looked outside to me. It looked like it could even been near the beach or on the beach. So be careful, especially if you're going to any outdoor musical festivals or anything. Not just Florida, not just Mexico, but of course, anywhere. Be really, really careful. You know, people care about you and people love you and want you to be safe. You know, scientists in Alaska are warning, the Alaskan Volcano Observatory are warning of a possible large eruption of the Tanaga Volcano because the earthquake activity has really, increased around that area. I'm overdue to do a weather prediction video, so I'll get that out soon. I'm waiting to get a list for the hurricane season so I can tune into that list like I do every year. So I'm not going to go into weather too much today, but I will remind you of my past vision of a massive volcanic eruption that interferes with airlines and flights and so forth, even causing evacuations. I can't say necessarily it's the Tanaga volcano necessarily, although Spirit just confirmed that the Tanaga is about to burst, but that Spirit also confirms is not the big one that I had in visions in the past. That is something else. Also, we're going to see some eruptions beginning to occur around the Hawaiian Islands. Spirit shows me that now. That's not in my notes. So be safe out there, friends. Remember, I said things about Hawaii in my January 1st New Year's Day predictions and warned our Hawaiian friends of big waves. Not necessarily a tsunami, but definitely a small wave that if you're standing on that beach, it could wash you away, related to earthquake activity. Things are somewhat quiet right now, and I believe without a doubt that earthquake activity is quiet before the storm, and then we're going to see that start to escalate towards the end of this month, but especially in April. Also, the date April 11th just popped in my mind. I don't know why or what. It's not in my notes, but April 11th, so keep that in mind. Remember, I warned about today and tomorrow, so we got to keep an eye on what's happening in the world today and tomorrow. In the world of politics, China and Russia's leaders are becoming buddies now. They're buds. And as Xi visits with Putin. This is not a good sign for the rest of the world, but remember, is what Spirit told me is Xi doesn't have no friends, according to Spirit. Spirit's like, he don't have no friends, and he does not want any either. He just wants the rest of the world to believe that they're friends. So that's all I got with that little relationship there. Remember, China wants nothing more than to take over the whole entire world. And they're doing it. And they have been doing it for quite some time. And in the United States, people like Obama sold us out to China. There's even national parks. And again, leave your comments until you do your research. National parks that are owned by China. Part of the Grand Canyon be one of them. So that's the whole thing. And I don't believe at all in my heart and soul that China is going to succeed. But things are going to get tense. And you know that the cabal want nothing more than WW123, which I also hold in the light will never happen. Even though, a great war is in prophecies. A great war, not necessarily the third world event type war, but definitely a great war is in prophecies. But that war, I believe, is already happening right now. It is a war in the spiritual world. It is a war from the darkness and the light, between the darkness and the light. And the light's starting to get some really good punches in right about now, because look at this. The Biden family is now being investigated. And subpoenas were sent to several banks. As their accounts are going under the magnifying glass. Already $3 million was discovered being wired from China directly to one of the JB's family businesses. The money was slowly divided in a short period of time over a series of months, I believe, The money was slowly divided, little chunks of it, amongst the JB family. Isn't that interesting? And this is all under investigation right now. You're not going to hear it from your fake and bake media at all. But this includes, of course, baby Biden as well, mainly baby Biden. Spirit says that they're going to continue to attempt to cover up their corruption, treason, and relationships with China. But sadly, JB will likely be in his grave before he actually accounts for these criminal actions. And soon, a push to impeach Biden will likely fail, but can also force him to not run again in 2024. Actually, I do believe he's going to run, but he'll announce a run. But I believe that they're going to push him out of that spot. His own people, his own little Democrat group, are going to push him out of that spot in some way, even if they have to put something in his food. But they are going to push him out because they're going to see that he's ruining it for their plan. So something to keep an eye on. But, speaking of politics, look at Boris Johnson. He's about to pay the consequences for his actions, along with Trump as well, who's supposedly going to be arrested today. We haven't heard that yet, but supposedly, allegedly, as New York puts up barricades and prepares for such. Remember what I said in my last video on Sunday? Do not feed into it, because Spirit showed us that there would be a Soros-backed group of people there to cause big issues and probably put on hats that don't belong to them, if you know what I mean. So just don't go out, folks. Just stay home. Don't bother. Just watch it. It's all just a show anyway, friends. It's all just a show anyway. So enjoy the show. Don't get involved. Don't become a cast member of the show. Absolutely not. So is anything going to come from this? Any of these things Spirit made me feel today, like as of now, absolutely not. We can only together, again, hold in the light that leaders throughout the world face the consequences for their actions, that the light shines upon them and brings out that dark. That's what we can do as a group. But Boris may pay a little bit more of a consequence than DT will. I don't know how, but that's just the Spirit gave me that feeling today. But the important thing that we really need to look at here is that leaders and previous leaders are going to be forced to account for their actions. This includes Biden, this includes Trudeau, and the rest of them. Sadly, they will still get away with it, but Spirit said they cannot run or hide forever. In time, they will have to pay back karma in a way that the entire world will get to witness it. Interesting, right? I thought that was really interesting. In my past predictions and messages from Spirit, we were told that people in power were soon going to begin to drop. I saw that back in 2020 and it happened. And saw it again earlier this year and it's starting to happen. We're seeing it. Not just dropping from positions of power, but also a dropping of the truth. Spirit said they're going to drop, but so is the truth is going to drop on top of them, which is really interesting. And that's the vision Spirit showed me, a big folder of truth being dropped on the leaders. Interesting. So some from whistleblowers that could destroy their image, whatever they're blowing the whistle on, which of course destroying their image would be well deserved in many of these cases. Remember my visions of Trump testifying in court? I also had visions of others testifying in court. Like Hillary Clinton, I saw visions of testifying, like behind a microphone. I don't know if it's court, but could be in the Senate or something. But I saw them both testifying in some way. But also today's Spirit gave me a feeling that Obama's days are numbered in the aspect that he will likely be forced to speak on behalf of his past actions as a president. I don't know what that's all about. Again, I just got that information today from Spirit. Again, that Obama's days are numbered in the aspect that he will be forced to speak on behalf of his actions when he was a president. So it's going to get really real, like I said. Big events are ahead of us, my friends. We already are seeing this with many leaders, and corporate heads or CEOs dropping out. Look at what happened with Disney, for example, which was in my predictions. But Spirit says there's so much more to come when an even greater awakening occurs on our planet in the near future. Around the same time that more massive sun flares, massive volcanic eruptions, and several large quakes will mark off the start of the greater awakening. And again, in case you missed that, I'm going to tell you again, Spirit said this was all going to occur when around the same time or right after we see a series of massive sun flares, like large sun flares. I don't know if they're pointing towards Earth, hopefully not. Massive volcanic eruption and several large quakes. And Spirit didn't say massive quakes, but said several large quakes would mark off the start of this greater awakening. Spirit does not give me an exact timestamp, but I do feel that it's soon, probably before the June 21st solstice. And if I were to guess on a time period, this is just a guess, I would say the next energy shift, the end of April into May, especially the month of May. Flags that fly ever so falsely. Flags that fly ever so falsely. Got to get my water in, baby. Spirit says that the cabal is planning to unleash several quite large flags that will fly ever so falsely. Kind of like the UFOs being shot down. That was some flags with big words false right across them as they waved them in front of our faces and people bit on it and their eyes were glued to the television sets. This has to do with their alien invasion plans, which that's a video I'm considering doing. I'm working on a video right now on amazing discoveries, which I hope to have, I will have out by Monday at the latest, but moving right along. So flags that fly ever so falsely. One of these could be the arrest of, DT. That could be just part of their plan. I kind of had that feeling. I told you, right wing, left wing, same bird. They're all ran by the cabal in charge. They put these leaders in. They've been doing this since they assassinated Kennedy. They have full control over everything. And not everyone. That's their next step, but everything. But they're going to lose that fight. We know it. Hold that in the light. Going back to these flags flying. So Spirit said, pay absolutely no attention to these events that are coming, especially the whole DT arrest thing. Pay no attention to it, Spirit said, and other plans that the cabal have. It felt to me today that there were 3 flags that would fly ever so falsely at the same time, back to back. So also I feel this could be the next, this could be within the next week or before the month of March comes to an end, friends. So this takes me to polycrisis. Do you know what a polycrisis is? Never heard of it before. Hashtag polycrisis. Attacks from multiple fronts and levels, which has already begun. And they're going to throw this in our faces because the polycrisis is a term used by the WEF and the CABAL. The CAB-AL. I was trying to shorten it, but didn't really work. So again, Spirit said it's already begun. Economic collapse is, an example. These are examples. Climate crisis, cyber attacks, the war, pandemics, and other events that have and will take out many casualties all at once. And that's part of their polycrisis. Don't feed into that fear either, because Klaus Schwab wrote it in his book, actually. That's where they got this from. Klaus Schwab wrote polycrisis. This was coming in, Klaus Schwab, again, wrote it in his book that this polycrisis was coming. He warned us because he knew it was coming. Just like they knew, before Trump came the head, that there was going to be a great unleashing of a bug, right? They knew that ahead of time too. Wonder if Klaus wrote about that in his book before it happened. But he did write about polycrisis, though. He wrote in his book that it was coming, and therefore he knew and he warned us. But how did he know this was coming again? How did he know that it was coming and soon after he put this book out? all of a sudden it shows up because, we know why, friends. We know why. But better yet, the Davos group, you know them. It's the cabal at their best. The Davos Group annual convention this year, they had a theme like they do every year, and their theme this year was Welcome to the Age of Polycrisis, the Global Risk Report for 2023. Kind of like events like the Ohio derailment, the war, and others that began right after, not the war, but the Ohio crisis, train derailment, happened right after their Davos annual convention, where they call it, get ready for the poly crisis. So that's where the word comes from. So you're going to see it a lot. Hashtag Twitter. So why has there not been any, speaking of events, why has, especially the East Palestine event, why has there been no FBI investigations on this? Any other typical time or event, you would have an FBI press conference, like, we're going to get to the bottom of this, right? They haven't said anything. Of course, they're not going to say anything. It goes to that movie, White Noise, that Netflix put out a year before, partially filmed in East Palestine, showing the exact same event that happened in East Palestine, except the other part in that movie is that they all got poisoned from the chemical spill, which we know that's happening, but we're not being told that that's happening. Like I always tell you, they put everything right in our faces, friends. In movies and all other types of methods, they put things right in front of us. So why is there no investigations in East Palestine? And many other events that have occurred, nothing. Silence. We haven't heard about that lately at all since, right? JB never went there. Like, what the heck is up with that? I feel sorry. Pray for those friends in East Palestine because they still need it. This takes me back to train derailments. There was one here in Arizona, not near me, far from here, but still in Arizona. And they said it wasn't toxic. It lost a huge load of corn syrup. Good, that stuff's gross, toxic anyway. It might not be toxic for the land. It probably is, actually. But it's definitely toxic for humanity. It's toxic for people. And remember my prediction way back about coming corn shortages? I also told some people to invest in corn, and they actually made money from that advice, even though I'm not a financial consultant. But corn shortages. And one of you actually in the comments pointed this out to me. You're like, you said corn shortages and the corn syrup. That kind of makes sense. Did they purposely knock it off the tracks to eat up more of our corn? I mean, how much corn does it actually take to make corn syrup? I would imagine quite a bit. But I don't know. I'm not a corn syrup kind of guy. Actually, I look on the back of things like, say, dressing, salad dressing. And it's amazing how much crap they put corn syrup into. Pickles. Do you know how hard it was for me to find pickles that didn't have corn syrup in it? Because I won't put that crap in my body. I recommend that you don't either. Food is now up a ridiculous 21%. And sadly, there is no end in sight at all. Back in January of 2020, if you recall, if you've been hanging out with me long enough, and if you haven't been hanging out with me long enough, and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, then you found the tribe. You got to smash that subscribe. Also, I remind you to click that like button because it actually helps out the channel a lot, helps get this information out to others, and it also helps to have information and content like this appear on your feed. So thank you for clicking that like button. So food. Back in 2020, I warned you all to start stocking up on food and water and necessities. Now we can look back and see why Spirit had me put out that information to you and that warning over and over and over again. Several times a year. I put out many videos. The Great Famine is one of them, warning everybody to stock up on food. And I mean, just for the prices alone, if you would have stocked up, you would have saved your family lots of money. I would still tell you, continue doing so. Try to buy whatever you can, a little extra something every week or whenever you can, even if it's a couple cans of vegetables or whatever, because it's up 21% and it's only going to keep rising, especially in other countries, especially in Europe, where they have the war that's about to escalate if the cabal can help it. So now we see why, again, Spirit warned us about that over and over again. And we did have an event. I talked about, civil unrest over food shortages and water shortages. And we saw a little of that in Africa. I forget, maybe last year sometime. But Spirit brought that up again today, showing me civil unrest due to food and water shortages. This is still coming, is what Spirit. I check in with predictions too, because things do shift and change, and sometimes we have the power to shift and change them. So hallelujah for that. But I checked in with that again today, and Spirit says it's still on the table. Massive unrest around food shortages and water shortages. So means that we know that this is still coming and it's still a potential event. First of all, through prayer, meditation, and holding positive outcomes in the light, perhaps we can actually shift this, along with saving, stocking up. Plant a garden this year. Folks in the northern hemisphere, it's spring. Plant some seeds in the house. You can put a little thing in your window just with lettuce and stuff in it. If you're a salad person, you can grow that right on your windowsill in your house. Just something. Every person grew a vegetable. The shortages, it would attack the shortages big time. Shortages that we're not quite seeing as bad as they could be. And we hope they don't get that bad either. But again, hold all that in the light for positive, because Spirit shows me civil unrest over food, water, and other good reasons, Spirit said. Other good reasons. So we see that in France right now. That's basically a civil unrest going up against their president. More to come, like strikes and the rising up of people, which I said in my January 1st New Year's Day predictions, that we would see a rising up of people like unlike anything ever before, with strikes, walkouts, and so much more. I said that in my New Year's Day 2023 world predictions, and that I told you that this would be the year people would get fed up and they would begin to step into their power. I had visions of massive protests, strikes, walkouts, and even people rebuking against their governments, and really bad leaders, of course. Not even the government, it's really bad leaders is what they're rebuking against. And we see this again in France. And soon we're going to see how powerful it is when people come together and rebuke against bad leaders and bad leadership. Those leaders end up falling, and soon, what's his name, Macron, in France, he will be soon falling. But, will he end up being replaced by another proud member of the cabal team? That's probably likely. I wouldn't doubt that they're pulling all the strings for this to happen. Maybe the leader of France isn't on their side, the cabal side. He's definitely not on the people's side, that's for sure. But maybe he's not on their side. Maybe this is all, remember, Spirit said, nothing is as it appears to be. So never jump into conclusions or jump into things, because it's not always at all the way it appears to be. So coming back to this, likely there's going to be a removal of him, but also, well, no, not likely. He will be removed, but hopefully a proud member of the cabal team don't end up in his spot, which will likely be the case as well. But at the same time, we have to take this as an example. No matter where you are in the world, take this, what's happening in France, as an example for ourselves and for our own countries, because we together, and only together, have the power. And that power can help us to remove evil leaders from power that don't have the agenda of people and only the agenda for themselves and their bank accounts. So I look forward to when Americans step up and do the same thing that they're doing over there in France, without the looting, without the destruction of fellow citizens' property and belongings, because it's just not right. If you're gathering together, to bring, a result, destroying other people's property that are there with you, protesting, like, what the hell is that, friends? What is that? You don't need to bring a point by doing it like that. You don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. We can do things peacefully. But now, if you watch some of that video I watched of France is extremely disturbing, with the lines of police just barreling through all the people. Those police should be standing there with those people, helping them to get the agenda of what they should be able to vote on. That would be me. If I was a leader, I'd tell everybody, if I was running for president right now, I would tell you all that when I become president, absolutely every decision that I make is going to be done through voting of the people. Let the people make the decisions with me. That's what leaders should be doing, not making the decisions for everybody. Just my opinion, friends. Back to weather, real short weather thing here. Once again, the West Coast is being pounded with rains, floods, and here in Arizona too, we had a mudslide, rock slide up the road. I heard all the ambulance and firefighters, screaming by my house earlier, going up the canyon. So something not so good happened there. But I drove into town quickly this morning. Yeah, there were rock slides. You gotta be careful. This canyon's dangerous. That's why when it's pouring rain, I tell people do not drive in the canyon when it's pouring rain. Not a good idea. So major floods in California, Sedona, Arizona Canyon here where I'm at. And we've seen several rock slides, and Spirit warned today that mudslides and rock slides are yet to come for most of the West Coast, but especially California, Arizona, and Utah. I kind of surprised me, Utah. I was like, okay, that's what Spirit said. So today, Spirit also said a washout is coming to Hollywood. That's right. A washout is coming to Hollywood. And so I feel that this is both a literal meaning heavy rains and floods that will fill the streets of Hollywood and LA. But I also took this as a metaphorical message from Spirit in the aspect that the waters wash away the darkness and the evil. It cleans everything, washes everything free, right? So water is very revealing as well. Water washes away things and it reveals things. So therefore, both, again, a literal message from Spirit about Hollywood and LA, but also a metaphorical one, meaning that something huge is about to come out of Hollywood. Really huge. And I see major issues similar to the whole entire LA region. I see major issues. I'm not sure exactly. I tried to tune in to what they would be. The only thing I got was a big shaking under my feet. So I'm going to say that heavy rains are going to be followed by earthquakes that assist in pushing down these mudslides and rock slides. So the rains are loosening up. Earthquake is going to shake it down. So be careful, friends out there in California and anywhere. That's what Spirit showed me. But also, again, remember, washing away the evil and the darkness means that something big is coming out of Hollywood. I don't know what. Makes me think of things like Bill Cosby or Weinstein or whatever their names are, something like that. Probably something along those lines, I would imagine. Maybe I'll get more information. That's why it's always important to make sure you subscribe. Know that I am always posting something or live every Tuesday. I'm not live today, unfortunately, because the weather is so bad, and I know it'll screw up my whole connection. And I want you all to have good, clear reception and video. I'm in my dining room, actually, today. I just painted. Like the color. That behind me isn't what's going to stay there. I'm going to hang a big picture of Sedona up there. I just haven't ordered one yet. So anyway, coming out of Hollywood, there we go. New predictions for you. I got a list of some new predictions for you. I mean, I gave you some already, sort of today already, but let me give you a few more. I have this fear, not fear. I don't like to say fear because it's really not fear. But again, that's the word we have to use, a fear that some type of huge attack, a terror attack, is going to occur really, really soon. And I saw 3 events happening either at the same time or within the same vicinity of time or in the same area or both. What I fear for the most is our friends in France. I feel like they could be the first ones to fall victim to such an attack. They're vulnerable right now. And if it were France, it would be an inside job. So if something does happen in France, so there must be a plan on the table. Spirit showed me this today, warning the people of France, be aware. And if something were to happen, say there was an explosion on the streets, they'll blame protesters, but they're telling me Spirit says that that's an inside job. So again, if it's on the table, but not potentially being played, they're not going to play that little sicko game, we could still shift it, make sure they don't. So hold in the light, the people of France, hold in the light, only good things happen. But again, I saw three big events. And I also made me feel like basically that it's a flag, again, that flies in the air with the word false written on it. Real big. That's another thing that Spirit said. Don't fall victim of the attack in France. It would be an inside job and a flag flying with the words FALSE, the letters FALSE, printed really boldly on the flag. Interesting, right? So perhaps they would do this to throw fear into the protesters or even to blame innocent protesters, right? New York City also came to my mind extremely strongly when I was channeling this information from Spirit. And I got a sense of danger of some sort when coming out of the Big Apple City. Some kind of danger of some sort of was my feeling. I couldn't really put my finger on, and I cannot say it's exactly an attack by some terror-driven idiot, but something huge is coming from New York City. Perhaps, again, this could be related to the potential arrest of a former president, but I certainly hope not. And I encourage folks, again, to be peaceful, but also alert to the dangers that I talked to you about earlier of a Soros-backed group causing conflict. So, New Yorkers, be safe. I said it in the past, and I'm going to repeat that both Poland is on the edge of war with, between the UKR and Russia, and this war could go from the Russian-Ukraine war into the European war, which others, are going to be pulled into it or could be pulled into it, starting with Poland. Belgium came to my mind really strongly. And remember, this was all in order. The way I'm giving it to you was the order I received it from Spirit. So, some of this could be where terror attacks end up being. Poland, Germany, and Belgium. Especially Belgium jumped out at me. And that's not something that usually jumps out into my mind, actually. So I thought that was even more interesting. But I have no doubt that huge attacks are coming to these countries regardless. Not that they're terror attacks, but they're still terror. Any attack is a terror. And I also believe that this will be a new form of attack. Remember, Spirit told us that a while back, that there would be a new form of terror attacks. And I got that a while ago. That had to be months ago, probably sometime last year that I got that information. Well, Spirit reminded me of that again today. New forms of attacks that Spirit warned us of in the past that we would soon witness. One attack is from a small army of drones, while the biggest hacks will be against infrastructure. Yeah, so in my vision, I saw this army of drones. It looked like something out of a movie, literally. I'd say maybe a dozen or half a dozen taken off. They were little. Well, they look little to me. I don't know. I'm looking at a vision, right? So I can't really tell the size. And I didn't see what the attack was. I just saw the drones, and Spirit said a drone attack is coming. And I think that's more related to, again, what's happening in Europe. And probably a drone attack would affect either Poland, Belgium, or Germany, or all three. But again, Spirit said the biggest attacks would be the infrastructure and a hack attack. I would tell you to expect a huge attack that's coming, and that huge attack that's coming is a cyber attack. That's the difference. And maybe that's what Spirit was telling us, friends. Maybe Spirit was saying, a new form of terror, a new form of attacks. I mean, that would be kind of a new form if they took out something that they never took out before. I don't know, but it's coming. So we're at March. What's today? The 21st of March. We're almost at April. I'm just thinking out loud in my brain of when this potential could happen. We're in a 1 month with numerology, so this month is new beginnings. But then we have the equinox. We have the whole new moon. So this is a very, very, very powerful time. So I would expect things to happen pretty quickly with some of the things we talked about today, but also this new form of terror and the cyber attacks that are coming. I mean, I feel like that's on the table. Like the hackers are behind their computers working on it right now as we speak. And I thought I had, so a couple things I forgot to mention. So 2 men were arrested, Russians in New York. And this is concerning, friends. 2 men of Russian descent, were arrested in New York after illegally flying a high-tech drone over large chemical plants. Flew over three separate large chemical plants, Dow being one of them. So, according to a comment, wrong line. I jumped down another line. There should be a space in between there. So, yeah, so 2 men of Russian descent arrested in New York City for flying drones over the chemical compounds. And you'll have to look up the story. I don't have the story in front of me, but it's quite disturbing. They wouldn't answer questions, and police, pretty much, it's obvious. You don't even need to be a cop to see that obviously they were staking it out for some reason or another, and not good. And think about chemical spill that happened in Ohio, and now we got Russian descent people flying drones over chemical plants. What are they trying to do? Is that their new form of terror? I don't know, but I would say hold all things in the light and in love, that doesn't occur, because it's coming. We know it's coming. Chances are, well, actually, yeah, 100%. The person that was shooting at the power station, 2 different power stations, were related to former residents of Russia, according to what Spirit just told me just now. So I find that to be interesting. This is really interesting. A couple of things in my side notes here to cover at the end here. Thought I had another prediction here. Well, actually, let me show you these interesting facts first. Well, corn syrup we talked about. Russia. Did you know, speaking of Russia and all that, they shot down over 402 jets, UKR jets, which are probably American or German or whatever other was sent over there. 258 helicopters and thousands of drones. And they say UKR is winning? No, friends, they are not. I got to go back in my brain. Spirit reminds me to go back to when I said I did a reading on Putin last year. You can find that video down on my channel. And I remember saying he would acquire new land, and then he did, but then he lost it. Spirit's reminding me he will acquire new lands, and it's coming. So that tells me that they're winning, not UKR isn't winning. It's Russia's definitely is, without a doubt. So kind of sad for those people, sad for all those people, especially the kids more than anybody. Did you hear that Prince Harry was evicted in the UK by the king? I thought that was kind of funny. It's in my notes. Prince Harry, he's just like, that's what happens when you speak out against the cabal or speak out against anybody in power. Not good. Remember I had visions of, go back to food crisis for a minute. Did you know Tyson, which is America's largest food company, is closing 17 locations or 17 factories? Yes. Food shortages, friends. It's almost like they're forcing it. Why is Tyson, the biggest, largest food company, closing 17 locations? You can't tell me they're not selling food. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that I put in my notes today. Houses in South Dakota were suddenly exploding from, they say, snow pile up. Thought that was kind of weird. I thought it was really weird. It felt kind of shady to me. Lots of houses that exploded over there in South Dakota. The oldest metal firm that goes back to the year 1380. You got ready for that? Metal firm, big metal company. Over there in, what country are they in? I didn't put the country in here. Over there in Europe somewhere. I think it's in Germany. I think it's Germany, actually. I'm pretty sure it's Germany. But this metal company goes back to the year 1380, and now they are filing for bankruptcy. This company's been through 2 world wars and stood through strong since the year 1380, and they are now claiming bankruptcy in Germany. That's not good. I warned our friends in Germany. Which brings up the rise of the Antichrist. Oh, teachers in New Zealand are also on strike. Did I say that earlier? Yeah. I'll go back to the Antichrist in a minute. But Bill Gates, one of Lucifer's soldiers, they discovered cancer in fake meat. right? That fake meat that they're pushing on everybody. He wants to eat his cheeseburgers while you eat his fake meat that's loaded with cancer. And Bill Gates, to defend himself, because he's got lots of stock in those companies, right? Lots of stock in those companies. He tweeted, "Cancer found in fake meat are totally harmless to humans." Really? Really? Are you going to eat that crap? Because I won't touch it. I've tried it, Beyond Burger before. I thought it was actually good. But now, no way. Oh, it's totally fine. You can eat cancerous stuff. I remember Spirit taught a long time ago, you're consuming, like if you eat meat from an animal that was abused, you are consuming those emotions. You are consuming that energy. So you think the big C, cancer, is a positive energy to consume? Oh, hell no. I guarantee it leads to that. Guaranteed. If you're putting it in your body, it's eventually going to become part of your body. Just no doubt about it. So, stay away from that fake meat, friends, that they're pushing on us. Fake meat, bugs, everything else that they could possibly push on us other than the food that we're supposed to be putting in our bodies. Not good. Back to the Antichrist. I only bring this up because I will work on a video eventually on the Antichrist. I do believe that is going to occur. The rise, when they push them out in front of us or try to push them out in front of us, is going to be the year 2025. I feel like it's right in front of us. I hope I'm wrong, but they're going to try to, which means a lot of events have to happen before we get to 2025, or when we get to 2025, before they usher out their Antichrist sicko, which they already have. It's probably one of the Rothschild kids or one of the Rockefeller kids that they've been, priming for this since they were born, worshipping like it's Lucifer reincarnated, which is, I think, is what they believe, actually. Something like that. Anyway, this is what I thought was funny and why I bring it up. They said George Bush was the Antichrist. Then they said Obama was the Antichrist. And I had people leaving comments in the last video that Trump is the Antichrist. Friends, read the Bible. Read the Bible prophecy. If you read the Bible and Bible prophecy, the Antichrist, first and foremost, is not an American. As a matter of fact, America, I don't even think is talked about at all in the Bible. The Antichrist rises from the Middle East. Same. So that's where we got to keep our eye. And I would be willing to bet that the Antichrist is somehow related to the Muslim arena. Somehow. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So just to bring that point up to you all, because I just thought that was funny. Oh, Trump's Biden or Hillary's Antichrist. All of them have been. Sadly, Julian Assange came to my mind. And I feel like, even more sadly, that Julian's life is coming to an end. And I don't think necessarily this year, but definitely something big is going to end for him next year. And I hope it's not his life. I hope it's his jail sentence, being in prison. I hope that's the ending for him, that he gets released. But I don't know. I felt like his health, all these events that happened to Julian is taking a toll on him. Big time. A few more predictions. See, I didn't get to finish these notes because I wanted to get this out to you as soon as I can. But here's another one for you. Celebrity preachers. Like Joel Osteen, for example. Spirit shows a fall of the nonprofit church groups is coming. And God is about to strike down the phonies, is what Spirit said. Joel Osteen was just an example. I'm not saying it's him. But, that's another thing. All these events that are happening in the world, you don't see any of these celebrity preachers out like helping or doing anything about it at all, right? Well, Spirit said that there's a fall of the nonprofit church groups that's coming, and that the Lord was going to strike down the celebrity preachers that were more money revolved oriented than they were people oriented. So that'll be interesting. And it reminded me of, what's his name? Jim and Tammy Baker. Remember them? Jim and Tammy Baker with her high tattooed on eye makeup. Yeah, it reminds me of that. So we're going to see something like that coming in the near future. A big bust like that. It's like another Jim and Tammy Baker event in the United States. That'll be interesting. Did power outages? Power was out in Pakistan for over a week. And This just reminds me of how I warned you all about power outages and to be prepared. I'm waiting for the funds to fall into place so that I can get myself a little solar generator. No, to me, I can do without power because I have gas to cook with and all. But if I wanted to connect online or wanted a light on in the house, it'd be nice, especially if you're in the dark for many days. So please prepare for this because we're going to start to see that. I'll talk about that in the next week's show. Power outages, it's on my list of things to talk about. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything here. Celebrity preachers, done. Food prices up, done. Julia Assange, done. Oh, freezing temperatures. This is bad. This happened last year. Here it happened, where the trees started to get their little buds, especially my apricot trees out back got buds, and then we got that freeze. And then I got no apricots last year. I got some plums. The plums did good, and some of the apples did good. One apple tree did good. The other one did not. But I got that again. That folks who have fruit trees and such, be aware that freezing temperatures are coming in certain parts of the United States and the world. That's going to really dampen the plants and fruit tree buds, which again will add to food shortages and everything else. So if you have anything like that, cover it up if you can. It's a little hard to cover up a tree, but little plants and such, because freezing temperatures are still yet to come. Still yet to come. I think that covers it all. Very big cold effect is coming. Very big cold effect. We talked about gates and all that. Oh, what's this UFO story here? We always like a good UFO story. Oh, here we go. Pentagon UFO chief says alien mothership is in our solar system is possible. I thought that was really... There is the possibility that extraterrestrial motherships and smaller probes may be visiting planets in our solar system. The head of the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Research Office noted in a report draft shared Tuesday. Artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth. An operational construct not too dissimilar from the NASA missions. Blah, blah, blah. There's the whole UFO thing again, friends. They're putting it out in front of us. They want you to be ready for their fake UFO of alien invasion, which was on the table. Then they took it off the table, but Spirit says it's back on the table again. That's why you see in the news, oh my God, the U.S. shot down UFOs. They put that out there. Even though we know it was probably just a balloon, but it's just to get that whole fear out there to people. So anyway, that's what I have for you. I got to keep this as short as possible because it's going to take forever to upload. Hopefully it don't take forever to upload. Make sure you click that like button, leave a comment down below. Your comments are important to me and all those that read the comments. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for your love, support, your chat, cash, and everything else that you brought into me today and in the past and in the future. Remember, be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you, because we all know that mean people suck. Until the next time, have a beautiful day. Celebrate life, celebrate you, and I'll see you in the future. I saw that in my crystal ball. Namaste. Much love.